Nate Diaz beating Jorge Masvidal in probably the most entertaining boxing fight of the night, you could say. I was going to go straight into it with you, Ray. Give us your thoughts of the fight, considering these guys aren't professional boxing.
I think it was a good fight. It was an entertaining fight. It was the volume puncher first, the counter power puncher. I think it was just entertaining. Two MMA guys, twilight of their careers, near the end, getting, nice little, use their notoriety that they've got in MMA to get direct paydays rather than getting paid by the UFC as contractors. So it was a good fight. It was like a good measure of, I think, it was always spoken how the Diaz brothers used to train with California-based boxers. Like Andre Ward is one that was, they used them regularly for sparring. I know he sparred with other California-based fighters. And I think with Diaz, it showed like, you could see that a lot of things were just muscle memory for him in the way he was countering, even though it wasn't the most powerful punches. He would just There
were some rabbit punches in there. There were some
it was just like, you can tell with him, he was just firing it off without thinking. That's years of like doing drills and pads and combos. Like you don't even think about it. Like even when you're hurt, just bam, bam, bam. And I think with Jorge, he was like catching countering. So he could like bam, straight away, and it will clock Diaz, and he clocked him a lot of the time. The scorecard was so crazy.
It didn't make sense. It did not make sense.
It made sense and it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
It made sense because that was a fight where it's just like, you have to ask the judges, what do you rate more? The volume punches from Diaz or the counters from Masvidal, the counter power punches from Masvidal? Because then if you're just rating the volume of punches, then you would give it to Diaz because he landed more in some rounds. But then if you want to give it the power punches and the better technique, you would have to give it to Masvidal. But like I said, there's no definitive rule on that.
Let me ask you then, what do you rate more? Because I've got my answer. What do you rate more?
The first few rounds I gave to Nate, and then after a while, when I saw the counters that Masvidal was catching him with, I was just like, you have to give it to Masvidal because he's landing, one, the cleaner punches, and two, the more powerful punches. And for me, that should be rated more than just the pair of power punches that Nate was landing, because not all of them landed clean, and he was just landing for landing's sake, not landing to do damage. But some people might just say it like, yo, if he touches you, he touches you. Whether it's hard or soft pause, you got hit.
Do you know what? I'm going to say this. For the scenario that we were in, and this is sounding like one of the people that hates the influence of boxing or just that transitional space of boxing, I'm going to give it to Diaz. Like, I didn't mind the volume. Like, I think for the scenario we were in terms of both guys who are MMA guys going into boxing and stuff, I'm going to give it to Diaz. It just was a fun fight. Like, they delivered what they were meant to do over 10 rounds. Do you see them getting back into the ring next, or what do you think they will be doing now?
I think depending on the pay-per-view performance, if it done good numbers, I definitely can see them running that back for the third, just to say, this is it, the trilogy. And I think I hope it goes well, because then it leads another avenue for other fighters just to, garner their own thing in the future.
Yeah, no, I hear it. Moving on to a man that put us to sleep, sadly. One of my favorites, Shakur Stevenson, now a free agent. Another decision victory. You saw guys walking out of his hometown as well in the 10th round. Where are we with Shakur Stevenson at this present moment in time, now that he's in free agency?
Listen, man, it is not a good look for him right now, especially the fact that with Shakur, he is definitely a gifted fighter, defensively especially. But his style of fighting and his perceived lack of assertiveness and aggression is working against him. And it works well if you're fighting an aggressive fighter that's willing to like swing for you, but his opponent wasn't that. So then with Shakur, it was kind of like you needed to press the action more and he didn't. And this is another fight that's been perceived as a stinker on his part. And I've always said for me, Tank versus Shakur is the fight to make at 135. However, Tank is in the commercial business where it's like, in order to make a big fight, it has to make sense. And unfortunately for Shakur, and I mentioned this before in prior episodes, Shakur needed a certified show out to garner that attention to make that fight happen.
especially
Right
because
now, he's shot
yeah.
himself in the foot. So go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, especially because you're hitting free agency, you didn't deliver that performance because now people look at you to say, are you really worth our risk? Because I don't believe when he signs to whoever he does, he's gonna get the tank fight. But I
Big
will say
money
this,
involved as well. You gotta remember, he's getting paid a well, he was getting paid a pre-penny on the top rank. And to test free agency, you need to have something going for you to garner more money and to fight more on your terms. Like him or hate him, Devin Haney brought something to the table when he tested his free agency, hence why he got big fights and big money. Shakur is in a spot where who's gonna want to fight you because the risk is so high. Commercially, it's not the greatest, and you demand so much pay. Like, where do you go from there? And the fact that I know you don't want to be a B side with no leverage against Tank. Like,
I will say this.
he's not going to be the B side for that,
I
right?
think he needs to get over his fear of losing. The reason I say that is I saw a clip and he said, they go like, what's your trauma? He goes, my trauma is losing. When I lost in the Olympics, I was crying. I was on national TV. I don't want to face that again. I think for him, if he needs some psychological evaluation on that, get some therapy on it, whatever, because you need to get over that fear if you're not allowing yourself to be a bit more entertaining, if you're not allowing yourselves to be more aggressive on the nature that something bad could happen. I think he needs to get over that if that is still holding him back a bit, because right now he is a snooze fest.
The funny thing is, just to add to that, with Shakur, his corner was actually giving him advice on like how to get the stoppage per se, or how to press the action, and he was arguing with them. So now it looks even worse on you because it's just like, you can't be that arrogant and you're not going there and showing out. If you're going to be arrogant to your corner, you better go out and show out. And he didn't. And so then now is like, you just come off arrogant with no payoff. Arrogant with payoff is like, fair enough, but arrogant with no payoff is just like, why are you being arrogant for? You're not where you need to be. And this whole like fear of losing, I definitely understand, but everyone wants to look at Mayweather and no one wants to act like Mayweather because Mayweather still made his style in a way that, you know, pre-Boy Floyd, he went out there and got it.
I was going to say, Money Mayweather Floyd didn't hit until the back end of his career, really. Pre-Boy Floyd was basically a lot of it. He was a killer. Another man that's a killer who's fighting on the weekend, Jaron Boots Ennis, Samuel Eddie. Now, what do you think we're going to get from him going forward in his career, or even this debut fight?
I think the timing is brilliant. I think the welterweight division is a bit of a needs to be resurrected after, you know, the crescendo of Crawford and Errol Spence and both of them moving up. I think welterweight needs a new name. It's a famous division, and I think Boots can be the guy to restart it, get people interested. You know, there was always this thing whilst he was with Showtime about he's not being pushed enough, he's not fighting enough. Eddie's coming at the right time, and Eddie needs a big American signing to make his presence big in America. And I think what they're trying to do is build up Boots' profile in Philadelphia before, you know, they take him to the big lights of the big venues. And I feel like this could be, if Boots does what he is known to do, this could be so pivotal for so many people, for Boots' career, for Eddie's career in America. And I feel like if they get this fight right, it's straight to the moon, because then you can start building up more home shows for Boots in Philadelphia before he meets the Vegas lights. So I'm hoping he puts on a show and he lives up to the name that, you know, everyone made him out like he was when Terence Crawford was the real boogeyman, everyone kept on saying that Boots is the real boogeyman. And let's do another thing as well. We need to stop giving away boogeyman status without people earning it.
Exactly.
Give it away too much. Everyone, this was a boogeyman, that was a boogeyman, and then when they get the chance to be the boogeyman, they lose.
I.e. Benavidez Canelo when that happens, but that's beside.
No. We're not gonna do.
We're not gonna do it.
But,
yeah.
Like even like Sabril Matias was another one. So let's see, Boots. I want to see if the hype is real, and I hope the hype is real. let's get it happen. Let's let it happen. And I know how Eddie is. He will make a fight ASAP if Boots puts on a performance in Philadelphia, and you know, he puts on a show. We don't need a cruise control. You see what happened with Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah.
We need you to go out there, put on a show for the people, and then maybe 1 or 2 fights, and then look to unify the division.
Nah, I hear it. I just want to ask you one quick thing there. We've talked about the American side, some positive, some negative, but looking ahead, once the current crop, and I mean the older generation, the 30 plus and retire, are the Americans back on top when it comes to talent and being able to put on the best shows? Because I think they are.
No, the infrastructure is not there right now. I think the funny enough,
The fighters are though.
The fighters will always be there, but
comparative to everybody else.
We've realized over the years, fighting is not enough, or being a good fighter is not enough. Have you got the character? And it doesn't mean make a spectacle of yourself, but just have you got the character? Because the same way we're just talking about Boots with Eddie, that's a good combination. If Boots is who he says he is, he's got the right personality. And I feel like in America right now, they're skipping steps a lot of the time with, you got to start making people big in their home cities first, or home states first, before you start taking them to the bright headlights of Las Vegas. So I think that's what's missing, because even like Errol Spence becoming what he became, because he became big in Texas. The same with Terrence Crawford in Omaha. The same with, you know, I can go on. And I think that's what's happened, is like, because of like social media and everyone wants to seem flashy, no one wants to build genuine cult followings no more, where your city and your state is behind you. And I feel like that's what's missing from American boxing, because before you become big in the States, you need to become big in your state. I'm big in the States, you need to become big in your state. And I feel like that's what's missing.
That is the best way to actually represent American boxing, because everyone talks about Vegas, MSG, but you're not even a name in your own place.
You're not selling out multiple dates in your own like city. Even talking about Shakur, I think Ariel Helwani put out a tweet which was like, there was a Russian and a Louisiana native that was in that same arena that sold it out more than Shakur. And that says it all. Like, you guys want these big paydays, you want to go to Vegas, and I get it, man, because listen, this game, you got to get as much money as you want out of it. But if you're talented and in the long run for it, you need to become big in your state before you become big in the States. Because then how are you going to get that big Vegas venue if you can't even do your own city or state? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, nah, I hear you guys. We're going to wrap up this quick little recap. If you like these videos, we're going to drop them every 2 weeks or so, giving you some boxing recap. Right, until next time, love and peace. Enjoy the content on the channel as well, guys. Peace.